continuing our discussion of resumes, I'm going to talk about what to do before we talk about what not to do. This is different from what you've seen. You have seen that your education should be at the top. I'm telling you it should be at the bottom because it is the last thing that your reader is going to look for. It's not saying it's not important, it's just not the first thing that's important. What is their question? We said in the previous message, the first question is, am I wasting my time? And to determine whether they're wasting their time, they need to know whether you want the job they're trying to fill and whether you're a credible candidate. So rather than keep them waiting and get impatient and leave you, answer that question first. So you put in, how do you answer that? It's very simple. You type in the title of the job and then you say, using my, and here I should have changed this because I would put in 25 years experience managing instructional projects and my master's degree in instructional design. So it's very simple. You're not going to go on waxing poetic or anything. You just give them facts. So after our objective, we have skills. We don't say technical skills. We don't say anything but skills. And we don't put certifications with skills. Certifications are not skills. They're kind of like education. You think of it as a test, just like you would get in college. But no employer is going to pay much attention to certifications that aren't reflected in your experience. So be careful about burying them down with a million certifications. There are certifications that matter, like if you're a doctor, you need to be a certified surgeon or whatever. If you're going to be running a water utility, there are legal certifications you have to have in order to be able to have that responsibility. But if you're talking about programming, you don't need the courts aren't going to require you to have a certificate in order to have the responsibility to touch code. Now, you have a certificate that you get after doing some learning, but let's face it, you may pay $300, you get some crash course, and they guarantee you're going to pass the test. But does that mean you're now competent? Not really. So don't waste their time with all these certificates you've got, okay? And I'm sorry if you spend a lot of money for them. Hopefully they help you, but they're not confirmation you know anything. So they shouldn't be in skills. Notice that I don't put any headers. The person reading this resume is a person who's familiar with my discipline and doesn't need to know that needs analysis falls under the heading of, something. They don't need to know that, Articulate Storyline and Captivate are development tools. They don't need to know that. They don't need to know that Adobe Cloud is a technical thing. So that should actually say Adobe Creative Cloud. I don't know what Adobe Cloud is by itself. But anyway, you notice that I put these in a matrix. I didn't put them in a paragraph. Why? Because I'm trying to make it easy for the reader to read it. So these skills that are here are the skills that the job announcement is looking for. If I can't match the job announcement, I don't apply for that job. I don't try to fit a job that's not me. So you shouldn't either, I don't think. I mean, that's my opinion. Whatever you do is what you should do. Under experience, I don't say professional experience. Bottom line is, don't use two words where one will work. Okay? This is experience. They know it has to do with your career. So the first thing I put in my job heading is when I did it and how long I was there. Because this is the most important thing when I'm screening candidates. If I've got somebody who can't hold a job, I'm not interested in hiring them. Okay? So if all they have is experience of 3 months here, 3 months there, there's a problem. I mean, maybe it's because you're an intern, but even then, it's kind of a problem because it tells me that, you haven't had a whole lot of opportunity. So you aren't really proven. An intern, they're trying to help you. They're going to keep you unless you blow things up. If you're getting paid for the job and you're not an intern, then you're going to be tested and you're going to stick it out, or you're going to leave. They're going to let you leave. Now, the hardest thing in bullets is to put substance in here. You need to tell them something that makes a difference to them. Now, these bullets I just put together for my Keelworks experience, and obviously it doesn't really relate with Instructional Design 3. It should be like I should have different skills here, and maybe the header should be Executive Director, because here I'm saying I drafted the corporate bylaws consistent with regulatory and board requirements, established a charitable corporation, and facilitated successful application for 501c3 IRS status. Managing foundation community presence, regulatory reporting for 16 successive years, leading foundation. So there's nothing I'm putting in here that's irrelevant or unnecessary. Okay. I implemented foundation instructional design training program. And there's a grammatical error there. And let's see, implemented foundation instructional design training program, supporting over 100 students for 15 years. I guess it's a little cryptic, but it's okay. But I'm not saying that I was successful for 48% or 97%. I'm not saying that. I'm not throwing these statistics out that people told you to put out. Mostly because we don't really have a lot of statistics, and I don't make statistics up. And I don't have to have them. The employers, people who would be looking at me anytime, anybody who looks at you or anybody else, doesn't actually have to have the statistics, and they don't care about the statistics. What they really want to know is, what can you do? And that's what I'm doing here. I'm talking about things that I did. So if they appreciate what I did here at Keelworks, then they might consider hiring me for some other place. But then I'd have to have somebody to take my place here, and we'd have to pay them, so I'm not going anywhere. So anyway, yeah, I'd love to get paid, but not going to happen for a while, if ever. But you, yeah, and you probably should feel sorry for me. Anyway, the point is, substance is absolutely essential. When you have a bullet that is a lot of buzzwords, but not telling anything specific, if I can't walk away from your bullet knowing something about you, you've just wasted my time. And don't waste their time, because that's the cardinal sin. They're just going to get tired and run on to the next. They got a stack of resumes. Remember, they're under pressure to get through your resume so they can find that really incredible candidate. They're afraid that if they waste time on yours, they won't get to that candidate. Well, you need to give them some substance so that they see you are that incredible candidate. By the way, let's go down further. There should be no experience here that's unrelated to the job you're applying for. Down here, education is the last thing. And you say, you don't spell out Master of Science, you just put MS, Education for Instructional Design, MS, Engineering, software engineering, whatever it is. You're just trying to give them exactly what your degree is, where you got it, and what year you got it. This is what they need in order to confirm that you actually have this education. They don't need to know the list of courses. They certainly don't, and have no interest in your GPA for the most part. Now, they'll ask you if they are concerned about, if they want to know about your GPA. But if you put your GPA on your resume, you're telling them you're a student. Only students put their GPA on a resume. Now, maybe if you've been out of school for a year, you still got the student brush on you. You still got the cologne for school and your school sweater and all that kind of stuff. But people who are into the work world, they've left their GPA way behind them. So when you put your GPA on your resume, that's a little flag saying, "Hi, I'm a student." Don't do that. Also your email address. It should have your name in it, if you put dots in here, then they can search for your name. There are all kinds of tricks that you do to try to make sure that your name can go on your resume, like you put numbers on the last thing. But I say, put something designating your professional capacity. MED is for Master of Education. You can put whatever you want that is a professional designation, but don't put gobbledygook in there just to try to get an independent email address. First dot last name is ideal. I decided to go a little shorter and put T.D. Garrett, maybe because I like dots. I don't know why I did that, but you want to put your phone number in here. That's not mine. You guys all know my phone number. It's in the email that I ever sent you, but I didn't want to change it for this meeting. So anyway, those are the do's. Next, we'll talk about the don'ts. And the don'ts are all related to the bad information people are giving you. That most people are suckers and they follow bad advice without thinking it through, without asking, why do they think I should do this? What's the rationale behind it? Does it make sense to me? Because if you're not asking that, you're going to be burning yourself. Okay? All right. Thank you.